Public housing have been home of many of our legends. We know we finally got a Supreme Justice that came out of public housing. We have the owner of Starbucks that came out of public housing. Then we have the ordinary people like myself that been in public housing, went to school, graduated from high school, went to college, have a good job, doing something good and positive for their life that came right out of public housing. And I believe that the stigma that exists that public housing is not a place of quality, I think is not the right stigma, and I believe we need to improve that and change that conception out there.
We as residents are seeking self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency for me means to be able to have safe, sanitary, and decent housing, to be able to get involved in programs that will increase your ability to provide for you and your family, to be able to get enough funding and be able to get training to get a decent job, to move out if that's your choice, or to become a homeowner.
Because if a century of housing policy has taught us anything, it's that if there isn't equal access to safe, affordable housing in neighborhoods of choice, there isn't equal opportunity.
Right. I remember when the Secretary first leaned over to me after our first meeting on public housing issues in early October, and the President of the Low Income Housing Coalition said, basically, there aren't enough residents here. And the Secretary said to me, he's right. You know, we've got to involve more residents.
PHAs, public housing authorities, have to provide annual reports to you on what they're planning on doing.
There are millions of people that are affected by housing authorities across the country. Those decisions that they make actually impact their lives in ways that people a lot of times don't understand. And so it's important that residents themselves get an opportunity to say to HUD that any of the laws that you make actually have a human impact on myself and my family, and we want to have at least a modicum of some sort of say in what it is you're proposing, what regulations you're proposing that I have to live up under.
As soon as we're able to complete the bill and we have it ready to go public,
I do think that the key to success is continued and ongoing resident engagement, but I also think that the key to success is an open and willing to listen administration.
We need to add more residents on that board. I'm ready to go to Congress about that.
We are hearing from people across the country, from the East Coast, the West Coast, and everywhere in between, because the problems in one community aren't the same as the problems in another community. It's important that they are the eyes and ears on the ground in terms of making sure that, you know, we here in Washington have a clue.
I am a mother, and I used to be homeless and blah, blah, blah. So that's who I am. And I'm used to really good organizing. I'm already a tenant who knows my tenant rights regardless of HUD.
We have been working on these issues for many months now, and there are many issues ranging from accountability, enforcements of code regulation issues, discriminations, etc. So this gives us an opportunity to address those issues and get some answers.
It's important to have public housing residents, voucher holders, multifamily residents, the whole cadre of residents who live in our properties together, learning from each other, teaching us, and really we wanted them to tell us how they thought this program should operate, because it's going to affect them day to day.
And what we're looking for and think that HUD needs to do in this category is to bring back some of those federal funding programs that used to go into our development that would include
having HUD come in, give the contract to National Housing Law Project, and then actually training some of us about Section 8 vouchers and being able to ask questions to people who really knew it in as a policy sense was a whole nother level of education.
I do have something that didn't bother me. I didn't have a chance to speak, but I think it's very, very important.
Hearing the stories that I thought were just Jersey in California, New Orleans, Florida, Wisconsin, it was actually a very spiritually fulfilling process.
And then let's throw our arms around our brothers and sisters in the other types of assisted housing. And let's tell HUD that you need to make sure that there are resident protections equal to the best of the resident protections in public housing, multifamily housing, or Section 8. Thank you.
It's really interesting for me because I only hear the public housing point of view, and I didn't really know that the multifamily and the Section 8 people did not have as many enforceable rights as public housing have.
We're going to talk about this and we're going to get some answers. We're all in this together. Section 8, public housing, multifamily, housing is a human right.
As we talk to the secretary and put things on the table about what we don't have and how I've learned from the public housing what I can do. Now I think I have an idea of how to exert my rights as a tenant.
If your neighbor is suffering, so are you. You can't, if your neighbor next door house burned on fire, your house is gonna be going too.
We want a third meeting because we need time to discuss and understand the Section 8 residents. We haven't had to deal with that. Public housing residents have.
This process has already been a success because I'm quite invigorated. I have so much material to bring back to the citizens in my community. They will never forget my trip to DC.
The best outcome possible, the true engagement between the Housing Authority, HUD local and national, and residents, so that everybody is sitting at the table and residents are not consulted with only, but are actually engaged and listened to, and the things that they have said are implemented. And I want to give kudos to the folks at the National Housing Law Project, because I can't remember a time where multifamily, housing choice voucher, and public housing residents have been brought together in this form